Hey there, aspiring guitarist. Do you remember the video that I did when my wife and I, a little over a week ago, went to the beach at Gulf Shores, Alabama at the Gulf State Park campground? And the wind was blowing just horrendously, red flag days on the beach, which didn't stop us because we go there. Gulf State Park has over 25 miles of protected bike trails that we've passed alligators, eagles, and everything. And so we love to ride our bikes there. And the fact that the wind was blowing and we were having those bursts of rain, which doesn't bother us, they didn't last long at all. But the cloudiness kept the sun off of us and made for a great bike ride. But remember when I was on the beach and it was blowing so hard, and I talked about taking the carbon fiber and how it didn't hurt it at all? Well, it didn't, but let me tell you when I got back, and I had a feeling that, I knew I was going to have to deal with this. I've lived in Florida, Sam, before. I was in the Air Force at both Tyndall and Eglin Air Force Base and Duke Field. Sand just becomes a way of life. You learn to deal with it. Everything from taking shoes off before you go inside to a lot of sweeping and blah, 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 blah. Sand's just a way of life. Well, the wind was blowing so hard, but yet my wife and I, sat out there. We loved the view of the ocean. I had turned my back. The wind was blowing so hard it was kicking up sand. And even with my back turned, I knew this was going to get hit with a lot of sand. Now, this is one of the sound holes, but that's one as well. And y'all heard this. So let me tell you what I went through. So I get back and I'm like, okay, well, you got to clean this up. So let's take the case outside because there's going to be sand in it. There was sand in it when you put the guitar away, even trying to shake it out. Well, I took it outside and man, was there ever some sand in the case. I mean, I got my blow dryer, my leaf blow dryer, blew it out, wiped it down. When you start trying to remove sand, you realize it's almost like a lesson in futility. But if you keep at it long enough, you'll eventually get it. So I take my Enya Carbon Fiber here, little 3/4 half size guitar, and I take it outside and I turn it this way and I just shake. The sand just started pouring out of this itty bitty, very elaborate design sound hole. It's actually the Enya logo. And then I turned it to where the sound port was and I shook, and man, it came out in droves. So at that point, I've got a little blow dryer device I used to use to clean out the inside of computers. And so I stuck it up in the sound hole. I stuck it there, and for literally 5 minutes, I blew out sand. So then I thought, well, I've had this carbon fiber for over a year. I've never changed strings. Let's change the strings. So I went ahead and changed the strings. I did not, I mean, the posts were tight, so I didn't get any sand in there. I took the time to tighten up all the tuners. I put oil down in there. I know people are like, you put oil? Yeah, I put oil down in there. I use oil. I use oil a lot. Oil, guess what it does? It oils things. Does that mean that you should always use oil? No. And I'm not talking about WD-40 either. I'm talking about regular old oil, like comes out of an oil can. But at any, you can buy the 3-in-1 oil. So, but yes, you should always test oil before you put it on something to make sure it doesn't damage it, mar it, change the chemical composition, all that. So do that at your own despair, or caveat emptor, buyer beware. So anyway, I changed the strings. I blew until I got all the sand out of it. But here's the thing. I would never have taken one of those acoustics like my Epiphone, my Luna Vista, my Martins, my Gibsons, my Taylors. I wouldn't even have carried it to the campground. I do have a Journey pedal jumper that I'll show y'all one day that the neck actually breaks down and folds over and it makes into a very nice little square. And when you pull it back up and snap the neck in place, it is always in tune. It's amazing. I'll show y'all that later. But this cleaned up. I put the strings on and no, it's never going to get the tone of acoustic ever. There's always a bit of a twiny ringing. Now, this is another one that's very similar that Enya has, and and it's the same size. The black one, carbon fiber, is merely an acoustic. There's no electronics whatsoever on it. This is their Nova Go SP1. I'll put a link down in there. And I added my notorious notes, like I always do. This one has the same little sound hole design, the same there, but it also has that. And watch it come on. There, it lit up. So what this does, and you can get the Enya app. Let me just stop right here. I take no solicitation from Enya. Nobody, I don't get a thing from Enya. In fact, I'm a little hurt that they've never approached me. I've, not that I would take anything, but I mean, I pitch their products better than the people they pay to pitch their products. I've never had an Enya person approach me and go, wow, that was cool. Now, their tech support's always good. Remember, they're overseas. Usually takes 24 to 48 hours. And once again, I'm never going to put a carbon fiber tone-wise, sound-wise, above a Tonewood acoustic. I'm not going to do it. The sound of an acoustic Tonewood, Martin Taylor, Gibson, Breedlove, all those beautiful Ibanez, Yamaha, all those beautiful Tonewood guitars. I love them. Y'all know I'm an acoustic guy. But this thing's pretty cool. You can actually, it's got a speaker. This actually turns it up or down, and you get different sounds. You can hear that sustain. Now, you get like 4 effects. Watch. So it turned different color. One's going to be a reverb, one's a delay, but you can go in the app and change it around. Let's do it again. And you may not be able to hear a lot, but like I said, you can go in. It's got an equalizer, things like that. Now you can hear that. That's some delay. And then after you go through them, it just goes back to the green one. Remember, that's your volume right there. You can twist it. So it will also allow you to pull in some backing tracks. So you could play a drum track while you're practicing chord progressions or scales or trying to do some lead, which is really great. That's something I'm trying to get more into. There's all kind of ways to get backing track and drum tracks. Now, that guitar right there is a Lava Me Smart guitar, and it has drum tracks on it. It has a lot of things on it. I love the guitar. My son has one. We interact with each other in different cities, but it had a steep learning curve, a really steep learning curve. And some of these companies could do, in my opinion, a better job at FAQs and showing people how to use the smart guitar to tap into some of the features. So that's something you need to look into before you invest a lot of money into a smart guitar. But to turn this one off, you just press and hold and you see it turned off. This does hook into an amplifier. There's your output jack, and then there's your USB-C right there to charge it up. So, this is a neat little guitar that's very much like the non electric. They're practically the same size, and they make them in different sizes. So, again, there's a place for carbon fiber guitars. I would not have even taken, well, I might have taken a guitar to the campground, left it inside the RV, and on a beautiful, perfect weather, went outside at the campfire and played. I did that with the carbon fiber that I just showed you and took, but I was also able to take it to the beach. Got rained on, and it's going strong. So there are things to think about for electric carbon fibers. How long are they going to last? How long is the company going to support them? Can you replace the pickups? Can you do all kind of things? You have to think those things through, because the carbon fibers they've been around a while, but the smart guitars are relatively new on the scene. So even my thought is, even if something were to happen to the pickup of this, and it's obviously just a Pizio type style under saddle bridge pickup, but even if something did happen to it, I've still got a playable acoustic guitar that sounds good in its own right. It sounds different, but it still sounds good, and it can still be played. So just some more on carbon fiber guitars. I just found it real interesting how that endured the sand of Florida, because the sand of Florida can be beautiful and brutal. So, hey, another thing that may enhance your guitar journey. I hope your guitar journey is blessed. And most of all, hey, happy picking.